Well, the dramatic split in the federal Liberal National Coalition has the potential to reshape right-wing politics in Australia. And while some are still working to get the band back together, others say the breakup could lead to new opportunities for both parties. Jason Falinski is the former federal member for Mackellar in Sydney, and he was the president of the New South Wales branch of the Liberal Party and joins me now. Jason Falinski, welcome back to Breakfast.
Thank you for having me back, Sally.
Is there an upside to this split, in your view?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the National Party at the moment is completely freaked out by One Nation. The result of that is that they have been taking the coalition to places where it doesn't need to go and shouldn't be going. And you've seen the results of that in recent published opinion polls.
But we're also seeing the opinion poll success of One Nation at the moment. How do you think the poll should be interpreted?
Well, I think that this is the result of One Nation's overwhelming strategy of trying to outflank One Nation. All that it does is actually pump up the impact of One Nation's impact on Australian politics and inflates their numbers. Their strategy is wrong. They need to understand that. And frankly, being part of the coalition hasn't helped them understand that at all. In fact, what it has normally done is allowed them to blame the Liberal Party for their self-inflicted wounds.
What about, you're talking about elements of the National Party wanting to go further to the right. What about the right elements within the Liberal Party itself?
What about them?
Or how do you see, are they trying to move the party further to the right?
Oh, they have there are members of all political parties have different perspectives on that. There are members of the Liberal Party who believe that our attitude on certain issues should be more right-wing, if that's the label you want to put on it. But the fact is that the overwhelming majority of members of the Liberal Party are focused on the great group of people who feel that they are falling behind in Australian society and are trying to come up with solutions for how to fix that. And that is focused on the community and the Australian people. What the National Party is trying to do is just consistently respond to what One Nation is doing or saying. And the result is it just gives those issues more attention and drives more votes into their column. And hilariously, the person in the National Party who was the cheerleader, the chief cheerleader of that strategy was Barnaby Joyce, and he left the National Party anyway and joined One Nation. So that's the sort of loyalty you get.
Susan Lee, what did you make of the way that events unfolded last week and the way in which Liberal leader Susan Lee dealt with those events?
Well, I think universally across the Liberal Party and I think across the political spectrum, there's a lot of empathy and sympathy for what Susan Lee was facing with just the complete irrationality of the behaviour of members of the National Party last week. So they demanded changes to the hate speech laws. They got those changes and then they wanted to vote against them anyway. It was a breach of Westminster Convention. You can't be a member of a shadow cabinet and vote against the view of cabinet. And then they wanted to continue still being in shadow cabinet. So I think everyone is of the view that there was very little more that Susan Lee or the leadership group could have done last week to prevent what happened. And that's why it's probably best at this point that the National Party goes and works its stuff out. The One Nation party is at one end of the political spectrum, but also previously we've seen coalition seats falling to independents and Teals at the other side, including in your former seat of Mackellar. What does that tell you about where the most fertile political ground sits at the moment? Well, I don't think that politics in most Western countries is on a spectrum at the moment. I think there's a three-dimensional aspect to it. And what it tells me is that there is a large group of Australians who are feeling frustrated and annoyed, and they're feeling like they are falling behind. And look, the data on real wages show that they are, and therefore they want solutions to those problems. And at the moment, you pick whatever metaphor you like, where there are so few solutions coming from the federal government, they'll pick on one. And at the moment, One Nation's offering this solution that it's the fault of immigration. That's why house prices are so high. That's why real wages are falling and things of that nature. Now, of course, any economist can tell you that that's not actually the problem, but in a desert, any glass of water will do.
You were saying that there may be an upside to this split between the coalition partners, the National and Liberal parties, but is the best option overall for the Liberals and Nationals to stay together? Should they reunite?
Well, the best option overall is for the Liberal Party to come up with solutions that speak to the problems that people are facing at the moment, to come up with policies that address their concerns, and to create a community in which everyone can live the best life that they want to or would like to. That's the best solution. And if the National Party wants to be part of that, we would be very happy to have them back. But at the moment, where they're triangulating because they're so freaked out by what's happening with One Nation, which they've created themselves, I've got to say, then I don't think it works for us to continue to be in a coalition with them.
So your preference is not for reunification given the current circumstances?
My very strong preference is for the National Party to work out that what they've been doing for nearly 2 decades now has not been working for them, much less for the Liberal Party.
Do you think the Nationals have the ability to outpoll One Nation in the regions?
I don't think One Nation... Sally, and I ask this sincerely, point to me the seat in the lower house that One Nation is going to win. I mean, even Barnaby Joyce... Well, even Barnaby Joyce... Well, I think it's actually really... the media who is reporting on this, smart people like you, have to actually start asking that question, because it gets reported breathlessly because that's what One Nation wants to happen. But when actually people take a step back and look at the facts, even Barnaby Joyce doesn't want to run in his current seat of New England and will be running in the Senate. And there's a reason for that, and that is he knows that he is highly unlikely and won't win the seat of New England as the One Nation candidate, that the National Party candidate or the Liberal Party candidate is likely to win that seat of New England. That's what's likely to happen. So I can't even think of a seat that they're going to win in the lower house. Now, I'm happy to be told that I'm wrong and there might be 1 or 2 over here, but the reality of the matter is One Nation is just, it is a lot of people being asked this question, and they are, who will you vote for? And the message they're trying to send is, we want answers. We feel like we're falling behind. We're struggling to stay in the race. We want someone to help us. And so they are telling pollsters, yes, I'm going to vote for One Nation because now I'm being heard.
My thanks to you, Jason Falinski. The clock's beaten us. A really interesting discussion. I appreciate it this morning. Thank you.
Always. Thank you, Sally. Bye.
Jason Falinski.